We're going to start things off by taking a look at Camera Raw support for automated lens correction and how it specifically applies to DNG files, that is digital negatives, as well as other files captured and stored in your digital camera's RAW file format. Now, we first saw Camera Raw's lens correction feature very briefly back in Chapter 12 of the Fundamentals course. But because it is so important to developing photographs, really any photo, but especially those captured with a wide-angle lens, we're going to visit it again and in more detail. So here I am in Adobe Bridge, which you can get to from Photoshop by going up to the File menu and choosing Browse in Bridge. And we're looking at the contents of the 27 ADV RAW folder. Now notice that this folder mostly contains DNG files, which for the most part I converted from Canon CR2 format using this program right here, DNG Converter, which you can download for free from Adobe's website. And the advantage of DNG is that it's an open standard as opposed to being the proprietary format of a specific camera manufacturer. And Camera Raw can save all of your changes directly to the DNG file's metadata. In other words, no pixels are modified, instead of creating an independent so-called sidecar file that can get separated from the original photograph. DNG files also include lossless compression, so they tend to be smaller. All right, I'm going to go ahead and return to Bridge, and we're going to select a handful of files. Now, notice this guy right here, View from Union Station. I can look at how it was created here inside the metadata panel, which by default is located in the bottom right corner of the screen. If you're not seeing that panel, then go to the Window menu and choose Metadata Panel. Now I'm going to collapse this File Properties area, which is expanded by default, so that I can see this item, Camera Data EXIF, which shows how the image was captured, at which point I can see that the focal length is 10 millimeters, so very wide, and that the lens is a Tachina fisheye. Alright, now I'm going to scroll up my list of thumbnails to this guy right here, Downstairs Demo, at which point you can see that the focal length is 11 millimeters, so still very high, but for whatever reason, we're not seeing the lens manufacturer, even though I shot it with that same Tachina. All right, let's open a handful of these files inside Camera Raw. By going over to the Filter panel, which by default is located in the bottom left corner of the screen, I want you to scroll Open Labels and notice this red item, Select. Go ahead and turn on that checkbox. And so just for the sake of simplicity, I've gone ahead and assigned these thumbnails an arbitrary label, which you can get to up here in the label panel. And now I'll select all four of these files by pressing Control A or Command A on the Mac. Now what you want to do is right click on any one of the thumbnails and choose Open in Camera Raw, or you have a keyboard shortcut of Control R here on the PC or Command R on the Mac, and that is going to open Camera Raw hosted here inside Bridge. Now I have Camera Raw taking up the entire screen. If you do not, then you can click on this full screen icon in the top right corner of the screen. You also have a keyboard shortcut of F. Notice also that I have all of my open files listed inside this vertical film strip. If you're seeing a horizontal film strip, then click and hold on this icon and choose vertical instead. You also have a keyboard shortcut of Control-Shift-F here in the PC. That's Command-Shift-F on the Mac. And that is going to toggle you between those two film strip modes. If you're not seeing a film strip at all, you can just go ahead and click on this film strip icon. All right, I'm going to work my way from the bottom up, starting with this file right here. And I'm going to scroll down this list of panels and I'll click on Optics. Now, in my case, that's going to collapse the basic panel, and that's because where I right click on one of these panel labels, you'll see that we have multiple panel mode, which will show multiple panels at a time, responsive panel mode, which will hide and show panels automatically according to the size of your monitor. My monitor is pretty small, so I'm going with single panel mode. And now notice that this is a very wide angle shot once again with these curving walls out here in the left and right edges. These walls weren't really curved, as you might imagine, and so this is what's known as barrel distortion, which is a function of using a wide angle lens. And so what I'm going to do is turn on Use Profile Corrections, and that goes ahead and automatically straightens everything. As you can see right here, it even gets rid of the walls so that it looks like I'm standing on the roof as opposed to shooting through a window. All right, so that's the basics of automated lens correction here inside Camera Raw. You go to the optics panel, or its equivalent, and you turn on this item right here, Use Profile Corrections. We'll see how you can customize that lens correction in the very next movie.